Family is supposed to be the one constant in your life. The people who know you before you even know yourself. But in an age where deep fakes can replicate faces and AI can clone voices, what if the people you trust most are just wearing the right skin? Press like and subscribe now to encrypt your position in our network. Because without that digital handshake, something else might find your frequency first. Today's file contains a reunion between brothers, and the thing sitting in the passenger seat that isn't one of them.
Blake and I hadn't spoken in almost 17 years. He was the older one, 6 years older than me. He always treated me like a kid, and our parents, well, how should I put it? I think he hated them. When our father died, Blake said flat out that he wouldn't come to the funeral. He didn't want to hear about any of it. He screamed at our mother, and he told me to go to hell too, for always taking our parents' side, even though, according to him, they didn't deserve it. I was angry with him for a long time. When Blake turned 18, he left home, and I was left alone with our mother. Her condition slowly got worse. I took care of her for 10 years, and when I was 22, she died too. It was horrible. I loved my parents, and losing both of them pulled me into a deep, dark place. But the worst part was Blake's behavior. When I called him to tell him that our mother had died, he only said she deserved it. I was furious with Blake. He didn't even come to her funeral. I couldn't reach him afterward either. Maybe that was for the best. It would have been nothing but arguing and chaos anyway. But when I was at the lawyer's office, handling our parents' will, Blake showed up. I snapped. I went after him like a madman. I insulted him in every way I could, right there in the lawyer's office. I threw everything I had at him, asking how he could be such an asshole. Our parents had raised us properly. They had done everything for us, and this is who he turned out to be. Blake didn't react to any of it. He was completely indifferent to my insults. He said he wasn't there for the money or our parents' estate. There was only one thing he cared about: selling the house we grew up in. Selling it to someone who would promise to tear that filthy place down to the ground. That's when I completely lost it and attacked him. We got into a violent fight. The police showed up and, yeah, the whole situation turned out pretty ugly. But that was a long time ago. The house was sold, and Blake disappeared. I thought I would never hear from him again. I didn't even think when my phone rang. I was waiting for a package anyway, so I assumed it was the courier or something like that. But when I picked up, a familiar voice spoke on the other end. "Hey, little brother." Even after all these years, my stomach clenched. A whole world, a whole life I thought I had left behind, came crashing back. Hearing Blake's voice through the phone made everything echo inside me. I talked to Blake then. Part of me felt like I should just hang up and tell him to go to hell. But he was my brother. Maybe it was time to forgive him after all these years. 6 months passed. Blake and I talked every week. You could say he'd grown up. Well, maybe. I'm not sure. Talking to Blake brought up a side of our parents I had never known. To them, I had always been their sweet little Max. They loved me. They took care of me. In my memories, Blake had received that same love. Our family had been a decent, honest, loving home. But Blake remembered things differently. When he first told me, I thought he was losing his mind again, trying to drag our parents' names through the dirt. But he insisted they had starved him, that they had done terrible things to him. He said there were times they locked him in the basement for days, tied him up, wouldn't even let him use the bathroom, so he had no choice but to soil himself. And if that wasn't enough, they punished him constantly. Our mother beat him with a leather belt almost every day. Our father preferred to choke him until he passed out. I didn't believe him. Not until, during a video call, he showed me proof. His back, legs, and arms were covered in old scars. Long marks, like he'd been whipped. One of the joints on his index finger was missing. He said our father had cut it off with pruning shears when he was around 10 years old. Blake was a tortured man with a tortured soul. And finally, I understood why he hated our parents so much. But my own world was turned upside down too. The people I had loved, the people whose absence still hurt like hell, had treated their other, older child like monsters. How could I not have noticed any of it when I was a kid? My conversations with Blake didn't stop. We texted almost every day, and whenever we had time, we talked on the phone. But our childhood never came up again. Not because I didn't want to talk about it. On the contrary, I had 1,000 questions for Blake. Questions that could have put everything in order. Still, something inside me felt, or maybe decided, that it was better not to dig any deeper. It felt like, aside from Blake, nothing remained for me from that past. Our parents were gone. There was no one left to ask what really happened, no one to tell me whether Blake was telling the truth. I have to admit, that was what held me back the most. What if Blake was lying? 17 years is a long time. I had no idea where he'd been or what he'd done. He said he had lived in South Korea for a while. He'd had a family, but things hadn't worked out, and he was divorced now. He had a 14-year-old daughter. He even showed me a picture of her. But still, I don't know. What if he was lying? Why had our parents never hurt me? I couldn't hide my doubts forever. During one of our conversations, Blake asked why I'd been acting so strange lately. So I told him everything. Everything I felt, and everything I was thinking. Surprisingly, Blake didn't get angry or defensive. Maybe it was because he was almost 50 years old now, not the furious teenager who had once hated our parents. Blake didn't explain any of it. He didn't argue or try to justify himself. He just said he wanted to come see me. That caught me off guard. He told me he was sick. He hadn't wanted to worry me, but there were problems with his heart. He wanted to see me while he still could, and to tell me everything in person. To explain why our parents had locked him in the basement for days, and what they had done to him there, beyond the torture. I agreed. I can't even describe what I felt in that moment. Finding out the truth about your family at 42 years old. What is a person supposed to say? What are they supposed to feel? Blake booked a flight for 2 weeks later. and he asked just one thing of me: to pick him up at the airport. When the day came for me to go pick up Blake, everything hit me at once. Emotions I'd never felt before swirled inside me. I was afraid of meeting the brother I hadn't seen in almost 20 years. The brother I'd never had an easy relationship with. At the same time, a childlike excitement burned inside me, because it felt like Blake and I had never been this close before. I spent the entire morning pacing around the apartment, restless and on edge. My wife and kids were already going crazy from it. They had been for days. So eventually, they told me to just go already and head to the airport. I had plenty of time. During the whole drive, I kept running scenarios through my head. What would I say when I finally saw Blake after all these years? How would I greet him? What would he tell me about our childhood? What did he know about our family that I didn't? I felt childish, yet all I could think about was what was going to happen. I was already waiting at the airport. According to the board, Blake's plane had landed. There had been a delay earlier, but thankfully it arrived on time in the end. I stood at the exit, nervous, waiting to catch my first glimpse of him. And when I did, that stubborn young man I hadn't seen in nearly 20 years, the one I'd last met in a fight so violent I ended up in the hospital, was now walking toward me in the body of an old man. He wasn't elderly, not really, but the years and everything he'd been through were etched into his face.
Max, it's been a long time, little brother.
I thought I was going to cry right there. Nostalgia, emotion, everything hit me at once, harder than the flower pot Blake had smashed over my head back in the lawyer's office. But I didn't cry. What kind of sight would that have been? An old man breaking down in the middle of an airport? I swallowed hard, held back my tears, shook Blake's outstretched hand, and patted him on the shoulder. That's for sure, Blake. Then I took his bag and we headed out to the parking lot. We talked the whole drive home. Nothing important, just talking. Like two brothers, finally acting like brothers. Blake was different from how I remembered him. He'd become an older man, calm, cautious. If he'd been like this when he was younger, maybe it wouldn't have taken so long for us to find our way back to each other.
Max, could you take me to our old house now?
Right now? I glanced at him as I passed a slower truck.
Yeah, I just want to get it over with.
His voice was trembling. I nodded, feeling the weight of it. Ah, damn. But Blake, I need to swing by home first. I left my work phone there. It's really important.
Sure, Max. But after that, please take me to the house.
I pressed down on the gas. Our old house was far from where we were. If I went home first, I was looking at least a 5-hour drive. I parked in front of our apartment building and jumped out of the car.
I'll wait here. You'll be faster without me.
Okay. But there's an elevator. You could come up.
No. We'd just get stuck. I want to see the house today.
I nodded and rushed inside, up to the loft, straight to the apartment. My wife and kids weren't home, either grocery shopping or at the nearby bakery. They'd said they were picking up a cake for Blake's arrival. I scribbled a quick note saying we'd be home late,
grabbed my work phone from the kitchen counter, and hurried back toward the elevator. My phone rang in my hand. I immediately looked at the screen, hoping it was something important. It was Blake. The phone I brought with me was my personal one, not the work phone. I'd mixed them up. The work phone had been with me the entire time. "Blake? I'm coming. I'll be right there." "Where? Max?" "Down at the car. With you." I stepped into the elevator, confused. "Max, I couldn't come to see you. I got sick this morning. I'm at the hospital. I've been calling you for hours. Max, listen to me. You can't take him back." "What?" Panic rising in my chest. Blake kept coughing, unable to continue. There was a clattering sound, like something being knocked over. "Max, my heart, please, promise me. Promise me you won't take him back. He can't go back." Then there was a heavy thud on the line. "Blake? Blake, are you okay?" There was no answer. I could hear voices in the background. Doctors, maybe. I heard equipment rattling and people shouting urgently. The call disconnected. My hands were shaking as I stepped outside through the front door. Despite the winter cold, I felt like I was about to burst into flames. I stared at my car, frozen in place. Blake was sitting inside. He was staring out the window, his eyes dull, unfocused. He just sat there, completely still, not even blinking. I stood there, unable to move. And then I saw his hand. The finger joint wasn't missing. The realization washed over me, cold and absolute. If that wasn't Blake sitting in my car, then who was it? And why did he look exactly like him? Some family secrets stay buried in the basement, but others walk out the front door, wearing your brother's face, and waiting patiently in the driver's seat. If you were standing there in that freezing parking lot, staring at those unblinking eyes, would you get into the car? Or would you run? Thank you for maintaining connection to this archive and accessing today's file. The truth about what sat in Max's car awaits in the next recording. Click it now to continue the investigation. Keep your history clear.